Cool. Yeah, so it's
Free all the stuff.
the only thing I spend my money on is like education and t-shirts. Hey, it's like
Welcome to
and,
my
and
world.
butter chicken. Yeah, yeah.
I know
It
that,
hasn't failed me
Julio.
yet.
It's Mazinger or Mazinger Z or
Yeah,
something.
Mazinger Z. Yeah, that's the one.
Cool.
Very popular in Venezuela when I was a kid.
Are you Venezuelan?
I am Venezuelan indeed.
Yeah, sick. Cool. Awesome.
With your
well,
pretty Australian name, so
yeah, it sounds like you're from Cooper Pedy or something, you know?
yeah.
Cool. Since we're live, and we're also recording this, Albert is going to commit to us with his steps target so that he can put it out to the world. So Albert, you're going to commit to our 60-odd Mamba coaches about the steps, the health commitments you're going to make.
Oh no, 5,000 steps a day, probably.
Cool. Probably.
3 to 5.
What's the commitment you're making, bro?
Oh man.
And you know, look at us. We're all looking at you, bro. We're all staring right through you.
Okay, I'm gonna start my first. Can I do like the first week 3K and then the week after 5K? No.
Are you going to commit to 5K?
Yeah.
Cool. So now make your commitment statement.
I will do 3K this week and then 5K after.
Leah's a bit harder than me. Leah, do we approve?
No.
Okay. I'll do 5K.
Albert, what makes you think that you can't do 5K now? What's stopping you?
It's just I'm too lazy to do it. It's like every time I start stepping, I can't wait to go home. That's how I feel. And every time I make my first round around the block, I can't wait to go home. So it's that belief, it's that kind of mindset. It's that I'm afraid to commit with you guys. So.
So like Albert, do you like listening to audiobooks?
I do. Yep.
Why don't you chuck one in and you get your 5K steps?
Okay. Yep, I'll do that.
All right.
Cool. So Albert, are you committing to 5,000 steps per day for the next 7 days?
I do.
Beautiful. I love it.
Like a beautiful little wedding. Right.
Getting married to your future self. I love it.
I'll give you guys some photos, some proof.
Yeah, you have to post the photo every day into the Mamba chat as proof.
Okay.
Awesome, bro. Yeah, good. Cool, guys. So yeah, today I'm presenting on just some advanced messaging themes. How are you going, Ashley? Some advanced marketing messaging. Okay, so this is stuff that we all should be doing. And when I use the word advanced, it doesn't mean that this is stuff that you can't do or that it's like, you know, way out of your skill set. It's just stuff that goes a bit deeper than just, hey, I'm going to create a reel on, you know, 3 tips. I'm going to go and create a reel on, you know, me doing a funny Friday thing. This is stuff that gets a little bit deeper. And this is stuff that will actually build a brand and cool and help you guys be around for a lot longer and also create a bit of a movement. Okay, so I'll just share our presentation as we go through it. Cheers, Ashley. Just post your questions in the chat and we'll cover them at the end. But what I highly recommend so that you guys can obviously get the most from this is I want you to take some notes as we're going through this. And then later on during the day, I want you to go and create a post on one of these messaging themes that really resonates with you. Okay, so one of the best ways to learn is obviously to write your notes down. So writing on paper, they believe, is actually one of the best ways to actually absorb information. Yep, well done, Leah. But then also teaching it. So going out and post straight away, or going out and actually using that skill set straight away is very, very powerful. And then if you want the ultimate layer, maybe go and drop, you know, a little bit about your learnings inside of Mamba later on tonight. Okay, cool. So I'll just get into our presentation. Here we go. Cool. So advanced marketing messaging. Mamba method B number 1, send me a DM to change your life. I was just actually thinking, guys, one thing on to say, like this course that I just bought, it's 10K US. And I literally did it on a landing page. Like it was literally just a landing page. It wasn't no sales call or anything. I literally went onto his landing page. And all that is 2 years of authority, 2 years of him giving value in advance. And I didn't even think, like I did think twice about it. I've thought about it probably for the last 12 months. But for me, just to go and do that, like that just shows, you know, the consistency in his messaging. And a lot of this stuff here I'm actually teaching you guys, I've learned from Brendan Burchard. So it's very, very powerful. And this is the stuff that, you know, over time will get people to go and drop 10K on your landing page, you know, later on down the track. So it is very, very powerful. And that's why we call it advanced marketing messaging. So just for a start, I'm just going to talk about 3 messaging mistakes that are most likely killing your business or stopping you from actually getting people engaging with you. Number 1, do not make it just about the audience. Okay, so with marketing, we often talk about, you know, we need to, you know, constantly talk to pain points. We constantly need to be talking about our avatar. We constantly need to be messaging to them. But what happens when you consistently make it only about your audience is you become a commodity. So you become someone that's consistently giving these solutions for the audience, but there's nothing that relates to you. Okay, so your customer is only one element in your marketing, but it's not everything. Okay, so think about how your own experience and your expert story positioning, which means your journey, how you came about, you know, what you're learning, what you're teaching, you know, how you came about your methods and your systems, your own story through this. That is really what adds value to our audience. Okay, so think about your customers, their relationships, but don't forget to talk about yourself. Okay, so this is often one of the most important things, because when they bond with you, your brand and your mission, your customer will resonate with the aspiration of your messaging. Okay, so when we're often only talking to the pain points, you know, talking to their avatar, we're often solving problems, we're often giving solutions. But when they see us come through that journey, when they see what we've been through to get to where we are, they can aspire to be something greater. And it's something that it makes you truly unique. And, you know, we always talk about this as like the easiest way to stand out in a crowded market. And I've actually changed my mind. Like there's nothing crowded about the fitness market or over saturated. 5% of people exercise regularly, you know, 5%. Tell me that's a saturated market. 95% of people are not using a fitness product, you know, on a regular basis. Okay, so that's the best way to stand out, is to be you. Okay, number 2 is do not overemphasize the pain. Okay, so the old school way was to push pain, you know, speak about the pain points all the time. Like, hey, look, are you suffering through this? Are you suffering through that? Well, here's my solution. But what you speak to in the world becomes your brand. So if you're only constantly talking to pain points, that's what you're going to get in your marketing. And so I know a few of the guys inside of Mamba recently, you know, they're getting a lot of broken people. They're getting people that they don't necessarily want to train. And when you go and look at their content marketing, all they're doing is talking to pain points. And we're missing these aspiration points. We're missing something a bit brighter, a bit more positive. And sometimes it will either push people away, or once again, it will just make you a commodity. Okay, so one pain-based transaction will not mean you've made a lifetime customer. Okay, so go beyond it and relate to the aspirations, dreams, and fulfillment, both immediately and long-term. Interesting, exciting passions build lasting brands. Okay, so we want to paint where they can go. You know, like our pain points and that stuff will get that instant buy-in. But ultimately, we want to hold them long term, and we want to make our brand what our brand is about. Okay. Number 3 is speaking at your audience and not to your audience. So if you're constantly pointing out what your audience is doing wrong, they will see as an overbearing parent and just say, yeah, I get it. Shut up, Dylan. You know, I'm sick of you telling me to like eat my vegetables, blah, 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 telling me to go to sleep. What did our parents do when we were kids? You know, go to sleep, Dylan. You bloody get to bed just because we want to bloody rest. They don't listen to it. They do not care. So if your voice is landing on deaf ears, look to start having a conversation with your audience rather than ramming the good word down their throat. Okay, so one of the ways I sort of look at this is like, imagine you're like, you got two people spreading a religion, okay? And so one is the crazy homeless guy standing on the box in the middle of like Times Square yelling, you know, if you do not repent, you're going to hell. And he's like just ramming it. It's like, you must follow, you know, Jesus, blah, blah, blah. But then you've got the really charismatic, you know, preacher guy, you know, that's like, you know, you probably a traditional sort of African-American sort of dude who sings, who raps, and thousands of people will come and see him, you know. And so your goal is to speak to your audience, not ramming, you know, fitness and health down their throat. And so if you're finding people are just switching off, it's potential that you're speaking at your audience and not to your audience. Okay, so those are the three main things that will kill your business and kill your marketing. Okay, so number one, do not make it just about your audience. Do not overemphasize pain. You know, we do have to speak to our pain points, but it shouldn't only be pain points. Just remember to bring in, you know, the dreams, the aspirations, and how they can be fulfilled. And then make sure you're speaking to your audience and not at your audience. Okay. Cool. Then we have some of our marketing themes. Okay. So number one, what does your audience actually want or actually need to achieve the outcome you are committed to? So in our Venom sheet, that's one of the first questions we ask. You know, what are the 1 to 3 things that you're actually committed to helping people with? And so there's a really good book called From Good to Great. And it's like, what is the one thing that you can be world class at? And I set out the goal with our gym, with the Evolve, to be like the #1 female strength conditioning program in the world. For me, I had to slap myself on the head and say, hey, mate, you haven't even become the best in West End yet. Why are you trying to change the world? But that's what my goal was I want to be the best at that. So how can I actually help my ladies get this? Okay. And so if you really think about, you know, what your audience actually needs to achieve the outcome you are committed to. So let's say your outcome is like, hey, look, I just want to help people lose 12 kilos, recomposition their body, you know, and get strong. What's in their way? You know, what are the things stopping them? What are the things that are actually the roadblocks that is stopping someone from lose 12 kilos? And if you can get really deep on that and really understand that from, you know, an actual human perspective, you get this from things like your chickens, you know, like, oh, look, I was going really well this week. And then, you know, Paul Meldrum said I couldn't eat carbohydrates for a week. And I was like, I hate them. So it's like things like that. What is actually stopping your audience and what do they need to achieve it? So how are you going to show your audience they can win? Is it going to be from your journey? You know, so sharing your own journey, not just talking to these pain points. How can you share it from your own journey? How can you share it from your 100 solutions list? Or how can you share it from a client that has gone through the same thing, okay? And so this is one of the key marketing things that we actually want to work towards. Number 2, why do you care about your audience as a human? This is massive. And so one of the big things with this is obviously we're good at what we do and we really want to help people. But why do you actually care about the person in front of you or the person reading this? This needs to be in your copy to be advanced with your messaging. If you don't say why you care about your audience, they won't care about you. Okay, and so you can even use the exact words. My wish for you is this. So my wish for, you know, women is that they can step into the gym with absolute confidence and never have to have gym anxiety again or something like that. You know, what is your wish for them? Why do you care so deeply about them? The reason I care about your journey is this. I went through it myself. I fucking hated looking at myself in the mirror at one point, blah, blah, blah. Like, what is the reason you really care about their journey? Okay. Humanity connects us with other people. Okay. And so when you can connect and when you can show you care, about the person as a human, that will massively increase, your value as a brand. And so it's like an old saying, no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. So that's one of the key things. So number 3, and Leah, I was sort of thinking about you the other day with this as a really, really good one. And it's like, what is a superpower they need to be praised for? So like with our busy professionals, with our busy mums, we all know they need to exercise and all do this. But what is something we haven't patted them on the back, or they haven't been patted on the back for in a long time? Okay, so when was this last time someone gave your audience a pat on the back? When was the last time someone said, mate, you're actually doing a fucking good job. I know it's hard out there, and I know you're trying your absolute best. You probably should give yourself a bit of a high five for fucking being a boss mum. I fucking love you. I know how it is. Build an audience on praise over problems, and sometimes that's where we speak to the audience rather than speaking at them. Sometimes just that little bit of a high five, say, keep going, that's all they need. And you look at someone like Gary Vee, he does this very, very well. He's always talking about gratitude and keep being positive. Like he did the other day, like he was out doing garage sales, and like I would have got the shits with it because he's like, 10 people like, hey, are you Gary Vee? Can I take a photo? He's like, fucking hey man, get in here. And he's like, I love what you're doing. He's telling these guys out here at garage sales, I love what you're doing, man. Keep hustling, and he's like, he really gives his audience like a big high five, and I think it's absolutely incredible. So give recognition and appreciation. You are a leader, and they want your kindness as their aspiration. Okay, and so that is something that can be a really, really powerful message. And in a world of like a lot of negativity and social media and stuff like that, if you're that shining beacon of kindness, maybe that's what they'll aspire to as well, which is very, very cool. Cool. So how can they feel better? Okay, so this is a big one. So like when people are on this journey or when they're thinking about starting a journey, it's vital that you talk to your customer or how your customer is feeling mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Movements are created on feelings, not tactics. Okay, so once again, this is not speaking to the pain. This is not overemphasizing. It's like, how can we actually meet them where they are? And how can we make them feel better about the journey? How can we actually make them feel better emotionally? How can we make them feel better physically through our content, through our copywriting, and through our brand as a whole? When you speak about feeling better in their lives, they are on a journey with you, and so that's where, telling our own story can be absolutely massive as well. Number 5, how can they feel more confident about themselves in situations? So probably one of the biggest things with the fitness industry or with, starting a fitness journey in general is people don't have the confidence. They don't have a high self-esteem. They feel like intimidated. How can we actually help them feel more confident about themselves so that they can step into an uncomfortable situation? Because it's really crazy. Like when you think about what we get to do as coaches, what we're trusted with, people are trusting us in a very vulnerable state. Imagine, and Noxie, like imagine, imagine Noxie, 100 kilos ago. Like imagine, like I was spoken to Noxie on this, and I'd love to hear a bit more Noxie about like how he would have felt sitting in his car, knowing he had to step in a gym. That'd be fucking scary as fuck. And imagine how many people are out there like that. And, if we can talk to them about how they can feel more confident in that situation, it can be absolutely massive. And so with this, we want to teach your audience to show up with confidence in the face of resistance, confidence in the face of insecurity and change. And we want to speak to this and drive from self-worth and self-esteem while holding themselves to a higher standard. Okay, so that's ultimately what we're doing. And that's why I called out Albert's like, and I love what Leah did there is like, nah, man, 5,000 steps, you can do this and finding that way. It's like, how can we make them confident in this situation? Cool. This one here is huge. Okay, so this is partly like our ambition line. This is partly just, being able to paint a picture for someone, and how can you get your audience to stay motivated and focused? this is something that I think like with Paul's levels in terms of a delivery system is very, very important. So understanding like how to motivate your clients, how to keep them focused is really, really important. And when your messaging is focused on staying motivated and focused over the long game, you know, your process over outcome sort of messaging and clarity in regards to their future while also honoring the struggle, they will convert and stay as clients for longer. You know, and it's quite often, you know, we get really frustrated with clients that just don't want to do the work, or, you know, they just, you know, they just don't want to change. Maybe it's in our messaging. You know, maybe we're not actually saying, hey, look, this is the process. This is how you stay motivated throughout it. You know, this is a struggle. You're not going to stay there, but this is what we're going to work through. And so working out how you can speak to your audience so they stay motivated and stay focused is absolutely huge. So that's a massive one. Then how can they deal with setbacks? This is a big one too. Like we all go through the ups and downs of journeys, you know, and like things like the valley of despair. This is something that if you look at our Mamba delivery section, we have our 12-week physique call schedule. And so week 3 and 4, we actually talk about, hey, look, this is why most people actually want to quit. We actually put that into our course because at week 3 and 4, that's when you hit the valley of despair. You know, at some point, people want to give up on themselves. At some point, things get hard. And this is your opportunity to talk them through the hard times by sharing your own experiences. So, you know, what have you gone through? What setbacks? What things did you have? And this is why, like, you know, when you go through injuries and stuff like that, it's really good to share how you overcame that. It's a massive one. Focus on the time when you were there and how you pulled through. This helps them pull through the struggle and deepen their relationships with yourself and their journey as well. Teach them how to honor the struggle. The struggle doesn't go away. How can you teach them to understand the process, understand the struggle, but not to be a victim and become trapped in the struggle? Sometimes I think people will stay here. They're like, oh, yeah, life is a struggle. Life is a struggle, and it shouldn't be. We have to obviously be challenged to change, but you know, we cannot stay there. And so teaching how to honor the struggle, but also work through it is an absolutely massive one. So sharing your journeys through the peaks and troughs of the journey, and they will come along for the ride. And honestly, like probably a lot of the people we see doing really well inside of Mamba, they actually share this a lot. You know, these ones here where it's like, this is what I've gone through. This is how I come out the other side. And that's what people relate to, you know, people relate to not so much, you know, the perfect people that, you know, never ever have a problem. They're just incredible. They actually relate to people that have a really good story of like, shit, this is what I struggled with. This is how I worked through it. And now this is how I teach my clients. This one here, how can they manage their time? How can they make it fit? Probably one of the absolute most important things, because we all have 24 hours. We all do. And we all know that as coaches. Like we all live busy lives. We all run a business, but our audience doesn't know that. They believe they don't have time. So if you're a coach who can give them these little time hacks, these little ways that they can actually make time for this, absolutely incredible. Because what's one of the big reasons why people don't start a fitness journey? Oh, I'll do it when I have time. I just don't have time. Bullshit. we can't just say that. Sometimes we have to call them out, but it's like they have time. Everyone has time. And it's like you need to talk about teaching time to teach anything. Your customer is juggling their life. So how do you juggle your life? You know, how do you fit fitness in? Because quite often what they'll think is like, oh, you guys just spend all day in the gym. It must be easy for you. When we all know that's not the truth. You know, we all know that's not the truth. So time is a major factor. So let's say you're a parent and you drop your kids off to school. Is that when you go to the gym? Or do you do it before your kids wake up in the morning? Or do you do it when the kids go to bed? How can you make that fit? Cool. Load it with feelings. Stay focused on how you will change your life forever. And, you know, use things like your habit stacks, James Clear, you know, and Atomic Habits, the power of habit. These sorts of things are really, really powerful. say these things without forming an opinion. That's probably a key word there, is don't have an opinion. So don't speak at the client, speak to them. Okay. And sort of talk through that. And this is probably one of the things we do really, really bad as fitness professionals is we speak at the client and say, you do have time, but really if we can speak to them and be like, hey, look, I get it. You know, like the kids are jumping on your head. It's a bit of a mess, but hey, look, here's some options. Maybe you can try this. Okay. You know, and it's like, you know, you want to feel better. You know, you want to feel healthier. Maybe if you just try this, that'll improve your life forever. Think of the next 10, 20 years that you get to spend with your kids because you found some time. Okay. So that's a really powerful way to do it. Share this message over and over again. Put it in your stories every single day. You know, make that part of your Instagram stories, your Facebook stories. How do you make time? You know, share that as one of those main things. Cool. Cool. Where to find support in their journey? So a lot of our clients or a lot of our audience, maybe they're the only one in their circle that actually exercises. You know, maybe their partner like fucking couldn't care less about exercising. Maybe their parents are like, why would you exercise? You know, like maybe all of these people are saying, you're a weirdo, you're a fitness freak, you shouldn't do that stuff. And maybe they just don't have that support network around them. Teach them how they can seek support when they need it. Okay, so support is the critical difference maker. Maybe you talk about that's part of who your tribe is, your clients, maybe your movement. That's where the support is. And so speaking about how people can get support and why they'll be supported on their journey is an absolutely massive one. And think of different ways that potentially like they can ask their partner for support, or they can ask their parents for support, or maybe the people around them, because maybe that's a little thing that will help them get over the line. And so things like this is, once again, this is 100 solutions thing. So what if they're in an office where, you know, every Friday they bring cakes and beers on Friday afternoon or something like that? Maybe you're able to set up an office challenge that they can have for everyone to do. You know, maybe you're the person that can show them how to, you know, find support when they don't have it. Okay, so that's another one. Bit of a bonus one is create a movement. And so we have a training in this in Mumba about creating a movement, because people want to be part of something bigger, but they want to know that that thing will be around for the long run. Okay, so when CrossFit and that sort of stuff started off, people are like, is it a fad? It'll be gone real soon. And then all of a sudden, consistently, CrossFit keeps showing up, keeps showing up, keeps showing up. Even recently, with all the stuff that went down with CrossFit being like racist and all of this sort of stuff, you know, the community banded around it because it's a big, big movement. CrossFit stood for more than the person that was at the top of the pyramid. It stood for an identity, it stood for a way of living, and it stood for a movement that was much, much bigger than, you know, Greg Glassman or you know, those guys that ran CrossFit. So you can only create movements by being consistent. Show up consistently with your themes. And this might be like your movement might be that you're the most supportive movement for women on the planet. You know, maybe you're that movement. The changes you're trying to make in the world and why it's needed. So showing up with this is absolutely huge. Create something that people are proud to be part of. Okay. And that's why I guess I created Mumba, is because I want fucking passionate coaches to be able to get this stuff to the world. Like, as I said, 5% of people in the world regularly commit to a fitness protocol, you know, and it's like, we got so much fucking work to do. And that's why I honestly created Mumba, because like part of me got sick of seeing my mates go out of business and they're fucking great coaches. And it's like, I really want to help passionate coaches be able to help more and more people, which is very cool. And that's why we created it. Another bonus is like, how can you share the history and philosophy of fitness and strength? This is one that sort of added in here, and like, I think it's quite cool. You look at guys like Range of Strength, you know, like there's different guys out there that actually share the history of fitness. So let's say, for example, like for me, I quite like weightlifting. So I quite often share, you know, different philosophies, different histories or different parts of weightlifting, because that's what I want my clients to see, so that they're like, fuck, I'm part of this. I'm part of something that's bigger than just a training program. And it's a really cool thing because you can teach people about where your methods have come from, the history, the why, the mentors, the trials and tribulations of discovering your methods. Maybe you're a movement coach and you went to train with Ido Portal in Israel or something like that. Or, maybe, you're a carnivore coach and it was because, you got force-fed vegetables your whole life and you just hate it. But it's just those little things that, that make it more than just, reps and sets. It gives people something that like, hey, cool, I'm a weightlifter. It gives them a bit of an identity. It gives them something to sort of buy into. And even like with our gym, one of the things we're doing now is sort of trying to share a few more of, the more, I guess, inspirational or higher level, powerlifters, weightlifters, the female ones, so that our girls can be like, oh shit, I didn't even know this stuff existed. And then they're like, oh, cool, I can work towards that. And now they got something to aspire to, which makes it very, very cool. And so consistently working to that aspiration can be absolutely massive as well. And this will show something that has roots and something that they can be part of the next evolution. So those are some massive like marketing messages and I guess advanced marketing messages. But as you say, it all sort of ties together. It's all comes back to our Venom form. Okay, so forge consistency, and if we want to make this part of our brand, our identity, and we actually want to do this for a long time, number one is we got to revisit our Venom sheet. Okay, that Venom sheet is so powerful. The more you go to it, the more it becomes your compass, the more you'll realize that is the absolute Bible. That is the thing that is going to drive your career forward, over the long term, because essentially all of you guys are leaders, you're thought leaders, you're people who people look up to and aspire to be. And, everything on that Venom sheet is the reason why you do this. It's why you do it. Okay. So this is your compass. So number one, if you want to make this part of who you are and become one of the best in the world at what you do, set your compass and your messaging themes. Commit to consistently crafting your themes into your content, and you will grow your business quicker. But also, you'll grow your business quicker, but you'll also grow it year on year on year and build an epic career and empire. And so, like even now, I think I'm very, very lucky. Like I've got a guy here from New Zealand he's literally flown over to do a training camp for a sharing world record, and I hardly do that much anymore of my sharing stuff, but it's just because those themes have been repeated over and over and over again, and sort of people have bought into it. And so consistently resetting all of this stuff and consistently committing to like, who can I help? Why do I want to help them? That will set that compass, and you'll become known as that person over time. Also too, long and short form content. Short form content like your reels, your posts can get fast attention. Long form will hold it. So let's say, for example, you choose, one thing you want to commit to helping people with, and every single day you post about it for the next 12 months, or every single day you learn about that topic for the next 12 months. Imagine how good your podcast would be. And imagine when someone listens to your podcast and they're like, fucking Noxie is the man, on that subject. And so when you have that consistency with these advanced messaging themes, you can go and create that long form content, and that's going to get you to a high level of client, a higher level of buy-in, and you're going to start to get more and more leads just from everywhere. It's going to be absolutely massive. So number 3 is reflect and review. Check your analytics, do more of what's working, refine what could be better, and remove what isn't. So when we look at our messaging themes, it's like if something pops off, keep doing it, do more of it, because why would you keep changing the game? If something's working, keep doing it, do more of it, just do it more consistently. If something is, so you're like, shit, I know that's a really good topic, I know that's a really good theme, it's just not quite hitting the mark, refine it, make it better. Cool. And then if something is like, shit, I should never post that again, get rid of it and just remove it, because ultimately you just want to basically repeat the same things consistently over time. And that will become, the crux of your empire. It'll become, who you become as a brand over time. Cool. So that is our advanced marketing messaging. Cool. Any questions, guys? Any takeaways on that? How's it going, Scott? Didn't see you there, brother. Oxy.
Take a bow, mate. You've done well there, brother. That was really good.
Cheers, bro. Thank you.
A-grade content. I reckon that's probably the best presentation you've done yet, bro.
Yeah, spot on, spot on.
Sick. I haven't done a presentation for a while. I was like, I need to do one. That's why I had a holiday. I was like, I haven't done a present for a while. I need a holiday. Nah, cheers, guys. What was I guess your big what was a couple of things that stood out to you? Maybe starting with you, Ashley.
I think one of mine was to actually teach, like one of the biggest thing was like, yeah, that's a big, time is a big factor. And I think to me, it's like, yeah, I've already established my understanding of how to work it into my routine. But if I can teach them how to do that, that's going to overcome the barrier that I keep facing with a lot of mums in particular. So I think, yeah, teach them. But also what you said about actually like building on their confidence. So finding what else they are actually, what's their superpower outside of, you know, what they maybe already are being applauded for.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's something that I think we have a very unique position where we can be that person. You know, like you think about what we do in person. And I've seen a great post of Scott's the other day, or one of his clients who I think she set a world record or something like that, Scott. And you know, like giving her that high five, like the amount of thanks she gave you was pretty incredible. And I think we're in a beautiful position where we can be that person for a lot more people, you know, which is pretty cool.
How would you transfer that into, I suppose, like, yeah, into online? Like, I get that a lot with my current mums group. You know, they'll still show up even if they're feeling shit. Whereas I feel like I didn't have that relationship with them. I feel like they would just go, no, I'm not going to bother going. So how would you transfer that into online?
That becomes part of your movement. So what's your movement about? Where can they find that support? So that's like when you got those messaging themes, it's like, look, when you don't want to show up, our tribe is here for you. Our movement is here for you. And so just sort of like getting that out in your messaging is absolutely huge. Yep.
Cool.
Sick. Cool. Leah, did you have any takeaways, mate?
Yeah, just rephrasing some of my posts now in my project board around my only wish for you. That was a really powerful phrase that I heard come from you, which is cool. And then starting to share, it's funny. So I actually did share a little bit of my story with one of my clients, and I actually realized that I hadn't shared that with my audience yet. So very, very exciting being able to share that shortly with everyone, and the real struggles I went through my own weight loss journey after I gave birth, and developing a really poor relationship with food as well. And yeah, one of my clients was like, thanks so much for actually just telling me how you felt at that period of time. And she's like, now I can understand how you can relate to me and what I'm feeling like now. And I was just like, okay, yep. So it's really powerful, really powerful.
Yeah, I like even in the gym, like I've been coaching sometimes people for years, and then they're like, oh, I never knew you felt like that, or like I never actually understood that. I thought I was the only one. And I'm like, what do you mean? You've been in this gym for fucking years. Everyone's going through the same shit, eh? And it's like, it's just because we don't say it, and people sort of think they're the only one that's fucked up, when we're all messed up in some way, to a, like, not in that sort of way, but it's true, isn't it? So we're not alone, I think, is probably a very powerful marketing message as well. Julio, was there any takeaways, man?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like for me, what mostly resonated was, you know, trying to cheer up people that are, you know, even if they're doing it on their own, trying to cheer them up and give them that muchly needed high five. Because, for example, when I think about my own journey, I mean, like I said earlier in this call, I'm from Venezuela. And if you are looking for a community that's the least supportive when you're trying to lose weight, it's the Venezuelans themselves. So yeah, I mean, it's like borderlining on bullying, but well, let's not get that. And it's yeah, and it can be very hard when you try to overcome something that's kind of cultural and not being fit at all. So so it was hard for me, and I feel like many people that have those unsupportive environments can use that more often than not.
Yeah, awesome, man. No, very good. Cool. Sweet, guys. Do we have any questions or any final thoughts? Noxie? Yeah.
You're free to do a podcast this week on struggles, so I can then go and clip it for little segments I can use for content.
Absolutely, man. Yep.
I think
Albert can book you in, book us in.
Yeah. I think my biggest takeaway from that today is I'm not sharing enough of the struggles I went through back when I was big. I share a lot of the struggles I go through now, learning new movements, obviously, with all the Ollie shit and whatever. I think being a bit more, because I didn't really document when I was getting smaller to start with, in all honesty, because obviously social media just wasn't as prevalent like 10 years ago. So, no, I think that'd be cool. It's just an idea.
Oh, fucking massive, man. That's a huge superpower for you for sure. Yep.
Sweet.
So, Scott?
I just thought that was a great idea by Noxie. I'd just say between yourself and whomever, like, to team up with heaps of people on Mamba and that for podcasts, because there's so many different, like, cross kind of topics that would be awesome. You know, even to relate, say, someone who's into mostly, say, mum transformations. Funny enough, we do a lot here, but say then the perception, say with here, just say that thing with Laura, you know, breaking world records and just super freak. Most people think there'd be no kind of correlation or common ground, whereas most wouldn't know. You know, a lot of these champion powerlifters and stuff are mums, and they've overcome it, and they're, you know, kicking ass, and even, you know, and to give them confidence, talking about the confidence in the gym. It's like, no, I know, we know some of these top women, and yeah, they piss themselves on the platform. Don't worry about peeing yourself when you lift weights, you know, like, or silly things like that. Or they all have the same, when they started, the same kind of fear of, they might have feared getting into the gym, and then they overcame that. Then they feared getting on the platform, then they overcame that, and then they feared stepping up into, you know, bigger level. So they all share the same common things. But I think they do heaps of cool cross podcasts with heaps of people on here.
I reckon it'd be huge, eh?
That's
That'd
a
be
good,
so cool.
good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Albert, man, if you can make a wee note of that to visit that very soon, that'd be awesome.
Kind of like cut out there, Dylan. What was that?
Having a podcast with all the Mamba crew on different topics and, you know, what their experiences are. So
Okay.
it'd be really good. Yeah.
Noted.
Cool. Yeah, sweet, guys. Any more questions? Cool. Yeah, sweet, guys. So I hope you got a lot out of that. Really enjoyed presenting on that. So yeah, really excited for all the stuff that I'm going to learn from Brendan Burchard as well. Sort of, that's scary as fuck. Growth is the most scary thing, isn't it? When you're like, you open yourself up to that next level is pretty cool. Sweet, guys. Yeah, if you have any questions, please fire them through. I'll get that PDF and put up, and the recording will be up as well. But yeah, cheers for your time, guys, and we will catch you later on.
See you guys.
Thanks for yours. Thank you. Bye.
Cheers, guys.